Hey guys, it's me, Pokemon. I'm back here today to talk about Iceman. He was the next character announced for day 2 of the X sneak peek week. Tomorrow we will probably be seeing a gifted untouchable student. I believe that is referring to Shadowcat. It could be referring to Rogue, because Rogue, you're not supposed to touch Rogue because she'll steal your powers. I think it's probably Shadowcat though, but could be Rogue, but I really do not think Rogue and Gambit are coming this patch upon further inspection. Red Guardian, Yelena still looking plausible, but I personally don't believe Red Guardian and Yelena are coming. I still think it's going to be 4 more X-Men, but time will tell. So let's talk about Iceman's kit. Iceman, pretty good kit. His looks okay. I really think Iceman, you either gotta go no clothes Iceman or full clothes Iceman. Pants Iceman, I've never been big on pants Iceman, but what can you do? Let's talk about his kit though. I think his kit's nice, very simple, very straightforward, really good, because I think Iceman's going to definitely bring in a lot of people to this game. I think he's a pretty big character, and I think it's nice when these big characters have relatively straightforward kits, so somebody looking at this game could be like, I want to play Iceman, and it's pretty straightforward. You don't have somebody like Beast, who is an absolute mess of a kit. Iceman is a very straightforward character. He attacks people, he wants to apply slow, and then he has gimmicks in his kit that benefit him if he's attacking somebody that has slow on them. So first off, his basic attack, he'll attack primary and adjacent targets for some damage plus apply slow, 100%, 1000% extra focus. Sometimes they mess up this extra focus, but essentially he'll be attacking people and applying slow. In his ultimate, he'll tank everyone and barrier himself for 30% of his max health, plus apply a slow to each target. And this sort of comes into play with his special, Freezing Impact, where he'll attack a primary target for 280% damage, but if that target is slowed, this attack will crit plus apply stun. So he sort of freezes people, they get cold, and then he like freezes them with this special skill. So cool kit. The passive, it's a little iffy. On spawn, if health is full, essentially if he's on a full team of Astonishing X-Men, he'll get to revive once with 40% of his character's max health. Cool that they sort of reference this. That's not something you see in a lot of games. They don't really reference the fact that Iceman revives. He's somewhat invulnerable because he's made of ice. He can really come back a lot of the times. This is kind of interesting. On enemy slow, he'll barrier himself for 5% of this character's max health. So again, playing off that slow right there on an enemy turn. This is essentially useless. 30% chance to attack that enemy for 140% piercing. If that enemy is slow, always attack that enemy for 140% piercing. So essentially, that 30% chance isn't going to happen. Just don't even think about it. Unless you're going against an enemy Iceman, then it will happen. I swear the AI have a chance boost. But if that enemy is slowed, then he'll attack them. So again, playing off that slow, he'll attack people extra times when they are slowed, and then he'll lower armor for enemies, which is nice when they are slowed. So again, nice. That sort of plays into the piercing, and his other attacks really making sure to slow people down, making them vulnerable to then take advantage of them with a special attack. And then in raids, he'll lower the damage by 30% for all enemies with slow. 30% only for a specific effect, like a very situational thing with slow. I think could be better. Let's see what the rest of the kit looks like. It is possible Shadowcat may have something to apply slow to enemies. If more of the team that he's on applies slow, like for example Storm, I feel is almost guaranteed to get moved over to this team. She can apply slows. So Iceman might be able to play with that a little bit, but considering it's very situational in raids and they have to be slowed, to only lower the damage by 30%, a little disappointing if you ask me. So let's take a look at his skills. These are always funny because they have the sound kind of messed up in the video. So I'm gonna have it really low in terms of the volume so you guys don't hear it. His animations look really good. Lots of ice, really good stuff here. Iceman's awesome, so it's cool to see him in game. I definitely think this is unlisted, and it's only on their it's only on Reddit or the blog on their specific website. So I'd argue really only hardcore players see it. Like most people won't see that if they don't already play the game. But if you've never played the game before and you heard this, it's a little awkward. They've done this with all the skill previews. I like when they do the ability animation preview. I'm a big fan of it, but I think they should just cut the audio and they should just play like random superhero music in the background instead of having the awkward sound effects that are kind of half-baked in this game, which is fine. I'm okay with the sound effects being half-baked in this game because most people play this game muted anyways. I play it muted, but since most people play muted, I wouldn't demonstrate the subpar sound effects on the ability preview, but I digress. So essentially, Iceman, pretty good kit, pretty straightforward, applies slow. He weakens people when they're slowed, and then he'll get to stun them if they are slowed. they're setting this up to be a raid team. I do not think this astonishing X-Men team is going to be all that. I think I don't see a lot here that would dethrone symbiotes, for example, from being a top raid team, or Asgardians were okay. This might be about as effective as Asgardians, but really symbiotes are an incredible raid team. As long as you have symbiote Spider-Man, even just symbiote Spider-Man, Carnage, and Venom are an incredible raid team. Once you added in Anti-Venom and Scream, they are just a crazy raid team. So I'm not seeing a lot here that's going to boot symbiotes off of the raid team for me. Like, first, when I'm running raids, I set it on auto with symbiotes and I don't even look at it. I don't need another raid team. I think this is sort of a problem they're running into with the game right now. You don't need more Alliance War offense teams. I already have more Alliance War offense teams that I can use. Alliance War defense teams, I'm pretty set because you already have 4 teams for Alliance War defense that you just use automatically. Like, I use Red Skull, I use Asgardians, I use Mercenaries, and I use Marauders. And then I put a couple of those war teams, like I put AIM on defense too. And then I'm probably going to move my Avengers team to defense. Already, like 6 out of 8 of the defense teams are just set. And then some people I have more tanks. Really, in casual wars that I think most players are participating in, really you only have like 5 to 7 attacks. You only need 5 to 7 good teams. You know that. So that's your Inhumans, your Black Order. I like to use the Young Avengers. That usually boots out something that's kind of weak. You know, probably your Baron Zemo team you're going to use. What I'm trying to say is we're pretty full on teams for war right now. We have a lot of teams that are pretty good there. Alliance raids, symbiotes are awesome. They dominate everything in Alliance raids. I guess Dark Dimension teams, but nobody wants Dark Dimension teams because they don't make Dark Dimension repeatable. And I think you can see that with the Pimtech team. I don't think that team sold that well because they're pretty quickly moving on from the Pimtech. They're like, oops, we forgot about Pimtech, because I don't think people were really buying them up because Dark Dimension use is pretty subpar. So and the arena's already dominated by Black Order. I don't think we're going to see a team dethrone them until Eternals, probably. So we really don't have a lot of room for new teams in this game. I think this is emphasizing our need for new modes, whether that be a boss raid with an alliance, like you know, even Disney Sources Arena has a crazy boss raid with Ursula. I think it's pretty awesome. I really think we need to see something like that in this game with a giant Sentinel or something like that. A lot of potential in the Marvel Universe for big boss battles. I think that'd be a ton of fun. And that would encourage big team use. That would encourage you to use multiple raid teams, because essentially the way it works is you maybe get 5 attacks each day, but you'd probably be using raid teams because raid teams focus on sustained, so you'd naturally be using your raid teams. But you want to, the boss is so big that it's going to kill your team no matter what team. So you're just going to try to use as many teams as you can in a day. So that would encourage use of teams outside of just symbiotes and raids. I would love to see a big boss raid sort of going on the side of normal raids, or a Shadowlands mode like Future Fight. The masterpiece from Future Fight Shadowlands is incredible. It's one of the best modes in any mobile game I've ever played. I love Shadowlands. To explain to you guys, it's like Dark Dimension, except it reset every week, and it was a little easier. And you can only use characters once. It's even if you clear a node with a character, you don't get to use them again for the next node, but it's easier. So essentially, instead of clearing like 12 incredibly hard missions, it's like maybe 30 or 60 relatively easier missions that slowly get harder, and then it resets every week. A big fan of that mode. I think that's something we really need to see in Marvel Strike Force, because that encourages use of your teams. Alliance War did that for a while, but now that they made all these Alliance War offense and defense exclusive teams, those slots have gone filled up. And now that they're making, essentially when they do these mode specific tags, they boot anyone else from getting to be in that mode in the future, unless you're just going to make a team that's flat out better. I think that's a bit of a problem we're seeing with Astonishing Iceman right here. I don't think they're going to be better than the team that already exists in their spot. But still really excited for them, and I don't want that to be confused with me saying I think every team needs to be meta. I'm really happy to have characters come to the game that are not game breaking. I think it's great to just have characters that are cool, like Iceman. You know, they don't need to be game shattering, but I just wish there was more uses for characters in this game, and I just think that's kind of showing right now. But with that being said, at the end of the day, what do I really know? Because I am only a 19-year-old. I hope everyone can have a happy and healthy day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Sign off, everyone.